the essential Excel session. In our previous session, we have seen how to, start up an Excel, all the introduction, and we have set up a little data for the monthly budget also, right? So let me go ahead, share my screen on explaining what is that we have did previously. Okay, great. I hope my screen is visible. Great. So this is what we have done in our previous session, where we have understood how to format, how to use highlighting, color, and all those things we have understood. And we have also known how to use simple basic functions like summations, and also understood the logic of relative formulas and also absolute formulas, right? So we have understood all of this, right? So let me go ahead and share the agendas for today. Great. So now if we look at today's session, we are going to understand more about conditional formatting and a little bit about chats. Okay, so if you are the formulas and the most of the operations are similar in Google Sheets and Excel both, right? So you need not worry, right? So I'm using Google Sheets because it has more flexibility. You need not install anything. It can work on any operating system, any device. So we're going to use Google Sheets for the same, and it also has a way to work collaboratively, right? So you can share it with multiple people, and multiple people can also work together. Also, Microsoft OneLook, also they have similar options, but Google Sheets is predominantly used for collaborative work, right? Okay, let's go ahead and understand what is conditional formatting, right? So if you've not seen our introductory video on Excel, you can see find the link for the same in the description. Okay, great. So now what is conditional formatting? Okay, so let me go ahead and share that. Now if you see, we want to have a few cells highlighted based upon a condition, right? So if you want to format based upon a condition, that is where you use conditional formatting. So for that, you can go ahead here, click on format, and see there is something called conditional formatting, right? So you can click this, and now if you see, it will ask you to select a range, right? So you can click here, select data range, and select the range. Like, let's say I'm going to use this particular data, right? Or you can even use from here to here, right? So I'm using all of these cells. Okay, so this is one way to select the range. The other way is to, I'm going to undo it. You can directly go ahead, select all of the data, and then click on conditional formatting, right? So it will automatically select that particular range, right? But now here, what do we want? We want to format only cells which have let's just say value over 250, right? So what format cells, if here it the condition comes here, you can clear here, clear this and say greater than. So these are a few default formulas that are there, which is equal to greater than, like if date before and after, if you have date columns, right? So we have seen how to work with date in our previous session also. So I'm going to say greater than, okay, and I'm going to say greater than 250, right? Now what I'm going to say, if it is greater than 250, or maybe I can say even 1000, right? 1050, say 1000 also, right? So now what is going to happen, and I want the color of the highlight to be, let's say blue. Yeah, you can select blue. Okay, so now here if you select this, the text color of that will change, and if you want to reset that, you can click on none here, right? And then you can select here the highlight as whatever you want, right? So let's just say I'm going to make it a little red, right? So this is how you can format, and I'm going to say the text can be either no formatting, or you can just say it's going to be black, right? So this is how the formatting can be done. So I'm just giving you a little bit context on how this is being worked on. So now you can see that here the Jan, Feb, March also got highlighted. So what I can do is I can edit the range and come here and select the new range, right? Which is only numbers, right? If I do that, you can see that only numbers got the conditional formatting, right? So if you've understood this in the comment section, type U in the comment section or in the chat box. Thanks, Prashant. Thanks, Sujata. So we have a lot of people who are joining on our social channels like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So use your chat to interact with us, right? So this is one way to format. So now what happens, what is the benefit of this is, if at all you want to see if there's a larger data sheet and you want to just highlight all the sheets, all the values which are higher than or less than particular value in different conditions, right? So for example, if the food bill for one particular month went 1200, I can see that it also became red, right? So if the rent reduced to just say 900, I'm just giving you random. So now you know, okay, wherever it is higher than 1000, you are able to see that is getting formatted. So is it only one condition you can apply? No, you can apply multiple conditions also, right? So now how do you edit a condition is also something that you can do, right? So you can always go click on the condition range, and then here you can see that the condition will show up here, right? So then you can click here, and then you can always go ahead and edit your condition. Like if it was greater than, now we want to say greater than or equal to, right? So when you said greater than or equal to, the 1000s also got colored, or you might want to change the color of it, right? So that also is completely possible, right? So I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to create another rule, and I'm going to say here, select the same range from here till here. So basically C6 to E10, all the cells that are between this range will be selected. And then I'm going to say, if it is less than, let's say 300, right? Because we have only one cell like that. Like, so we can say less than or equal to, less than or equal to, we still have, okay, so you only have one cell for that. So I'm going to increase this 500. Okay. So now whatever is less than or equal to 500 is going to be in green. So this is the default color, and maybe you might want to change it. Maybe you want the text for that to be white. Okay, so you can go ahead and select this, and you have two formatting that is happening, right? So let's just say if any of the rents falls lower than 500, it is going to get formatted, right? So it is, you'll know, okay, what is green, what is red, right? So it becomes easier in many cases that you can directly focus on the highlight portion. Okay, now these are the, okay, rent in February and food in February was high, travel in Jan and grocery in Jan was high. So what to work with, right? So the conditions could be different. Now, if you can also go ahead and work with complex formulas also. So we'll come at complex formulas later, but you can come here and say custom formula, right? So you can say custom formula, and you can write the custom formula also here, basically, which could be a combination of less than, greater than, and all those things, if conditions and all. So we'll come to that particular portion later, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to cancel this thing. So I hope you have understood you can apply multiple conditions on your sheet, right? So if this is clear, type U in the chat box. Thank you, Sushant. Thank you, Ranjit. Thank you, Suraj. Thank you, Rajita. That's great. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we'll revisit conditional formatting for complex formulas later. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with our charts. Right. So how do you delete a conditional formatting is also easy. You go here, hover on this particular conditions. For example, if you have closed the conditional formatting panel by any chance, right? So you can always go click on format, click on conditional formatting again, and now your formatting will be visible, right? So you can delete the formats that you have added. Okay, so we got our clean data sheet as it was there previously, right? So this is about conditional formatting. Now we'll try to understand a little bit more about shapes. So basically shape insertion and image insertion is very easy. You can go use this insert and insert in that image, right? So you can either insert image within cells, right? For example, I'm going to click here. I'm not very much fond of adding images onto Excel sheets, but just if you want to add a logo or something, in that case only that will make sense, right? So for example, I'm going to say insert image and image in cell, and you can upload your options here, or you can even use Google Images, right? So if you're using Microsoft Excel and your online tool, you will be using Bing Images, right? So now I'm going to say, I'm going to search for logo, just for temporarily generic logo. Okay, I'm going to use it, insert, right? So now you can see that the cell here has now the logo. Now based upon, because you put it in a cell, based upon the size of the cell, it is going to, so I'm going to cut it here. I'm just going to show you the example, right? So if you are going to increase the width of it, so it's going to look bigger, right? So now what I'm going to do is, this is inserting within a cell. So the benefit of this is, whenever you move the cell, the image will also move, right? Sometimes you do not want to do that. So you can click insert image and insert image over cells. I'm going to Google and I'm going to select logo. And maybe I'm just going to select this and insert. So now what is going to happen is, this will come over your cells, so, right? And it is also easy for you to work with it. Maybe you might want to, okay, so you might want to add it in a place where you want to, keep moving it, right? So this is what is there. I'm just going to make some place here, say, okay. So, and here there are other options for images also. So you can go click on edit, and you can click on the image. So when you click on the image here, there are a few options where you can reset size and replace the image and all those things also, right? So based upon whatever option you want, you can do it. So now you can see that you can change the size of the image also here, but I would always suggest you to use the corners so that the proportion of the image always stays intact, right? So because this is a generic logo, so you can see that it is in that particular format, right? So this is how you insert an image. You can also insert shapes. You can go click on insert, and then you can see that there are a lot of other things that also show up here, right? So we'll also show about how to insert chats also, right? So there are other images also you can use. Like for example, you want to insert image over cells, say click arrow, right? Sometimes might be like you wanted to show something, any highlight or something, then you might want to use images in this particular way, right? So you might want to point somebody in this particular direction, right? So you can use that, okay? So you can use your keyboard arrows also to particularly move images, right? So that was about inserting images. Now we're going to understand how to insert chats, right? So if you understood how to insert images, type U in the chat box. Thanks, Lakshmi. Thanks, Suraj. Great. So now I'm going to remove it. Now I'm going to show you the interesting part of how to insert chats, right? So now let's just say you wanted to put up this, instead of the data, you want to put up the chat alone in any particular presentation. You can go ahead, select the range like we did for conditional formatting, click here on insert, and in insert there you'll see a chart, right? So in MS Excel also the option will be same. You can click on insert chat, and you can see that first a default chat gets added, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the chat below here so that we have the view of the data also, right? Okay, so now we have the chat here. You can increase or decrease the size of the chat based upon what you want, right? So now if you look at this chat, this was a default chat, but this is not my something that you might need, right? So it is giving you a ledger which says March is yellow, February is red, and January is blue. So you can see that in Jan, so it's like a visual view for you. In Jan, the rent was higher, and similarly in food was less when compared to the February, right? So more or less rent in Jan and rent in Feb are almost same, but in March it reduced, right? So, and you can see that here grocery in March was pretty much high, right? Even you can understand, right? So there's a relative understanding also, right? When you're comparing rent of 1000 with food of 300, you can see that it's relatively lesser, right? So you can see to here, this is called the x-axis. So this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. So you can also know, I did this also. I'm going to show you how to do that, right? But if at all you do not want the name to be Jan 22, Feb 22, or March 22, you can double click here. And you can see that the title text, the chart editor opens up here, right? So this is what was coming. Then you can go to customize and change the title to monthly budget, say 2022. Okay, right? So you can do that. Maybe you can use a little of formatting also. Okay, so you can see the formatting here. You can do the formatting from here also, right? So now you can edit titles in that particular fashion. And if you click on the labels, right, so you can see that the vertical axis, double click on this, you'll be able to see that there is the vertical axis that can be edited, right? Okay, so now you can see here, if you want a different value, now the minimum value and maximum value are from 0 to 6000, but if at all you wanted the max value to be, say, 7000, and you can see that that particular value gets added, like this another additional value that gets added, because if at all there is value over 7000 of that gets charted. Okay, so minimum value, let's just say I'm just going to, this is all I'm going to start with 500. You can see that starts from 500, right? So you not start from 0, right? So I'm going to leave it at however it was, right? Now you can see, you can tweak around, do a lot of changes from here itself, right? So if you can change the color of the text, you can show the line, an axis line, right? So a lot of other things also you can do, right? So now if at all you want to format the numbers also, you can do that. It's not very much essential, right? So font changes and all those things can be done from here. Similarly, when you click on customize in chart and axis, so this was the chart title that we edited. Now we edited the vertical axis. Now you can click edit the horizontal axis also, right? So or you can see that here it is written as bills, right? So maybe you can go ahead and make it, sorry, category, right? So I'm just giving you an example. If you want to make changes, you can do that, right? But let's just say if at all you do not want the chat to be like this, you want some different chat. So Google Sheets or Sheets makes it easy. Now this was chat type stacked column chart. Instead of this, you might want something like this, which is just column chart. Click this. Now you can see that the whole of this thing changes, right? But mind that all of the changes that you made here will also be changed, right? So it's always good and ideal if at all you want to select the chat first and then make the edits, right? So that is always better, right? So now you can see I'm going to center line this, sorry, center line from here. And now it is relatively easy. So the rent comparison of Jan, Feb, and March is a little easier right now, right? So these are a few chats that are predominantly used, so you can go ahead and use it, right? So now if at all you want to change this particular axis also, the legend, you can go ahead and change it. Double click here, and if at all you just want to change February, you can just go click on February and change it, right? So that alone can be done, right? So these are all formatting, but Google Sheets by default gives you a good color scheme. For that, you need not have to change the colors, right? So similarly, you can do a lot of other changes. These are primary changes that we have made, but if at all you want to make, go ahead and explore by self, you can go ahead and do that, right? So how do you change the chats? Let's just say you wanted another chat, the pie chart. So these are the commonly used chats, right? So column chat, stacked column chat, then pie chart, right? So I'm going to click on pie chart. Google Sheets is smart enough to show the kind of chat that you wanted to see. Let's say now here it still has the grocery, rent, food, travel, and all. Now in the same data sheet, so now it is taking the data range from B6 to E11. That is fine. And now it is maybe kind of trying to look at the whole total, right? So if at all you wanted to add more details here, you can go ahead and add it here, right? So you can see I'm going to, now here the values are more of Jan. Now this is for Feb. Now this is for March, right? So you can see that here you are able to see the pie chart for each of the month, right? So if at all you just want to select only one column, 1 month, you can go ahead and do that. So you can see that here the title would not be apt if you're selecting per month, right? So now if at all you're going to say for Jan 2022 budget, I'm going to click that. I can make it 2023 because our data says 2022. I'm going to say 2022, right? So now this is Jan. So now when you come to the chat, right, setup. So when you come to the setup, you might want to add Jan, right? So now this becomes a chat for your data, right? So Jan, all of these particular rent, food, travel, all of this got charted here, right? So now you might want to save this as a PNG. Click here on these 3 dots, the menu. You can click download this as a PNG or a PDF so that you can include it on your presentation, right? So I'm going to just save it. You can see that this particular image got saved, right? But many times what happens is one benefit here is because now we are looking at Jan's budget, the pie chart is always connected to your sheet data, right? For example, by some case, the food bill increases in Jan, you can see that the sheet, the chart automatically gets updated based upon the data. So now when you're hovering it, it is also giving you additional data of how much percentage each was, right? So food with the updated data is 48%. Rent is 13%, grocery is 19%. And so it gives you a split of all of it, right? So this is how you do it. And sometimes you might want to edit it. Now I'm going to set up. For example, you want to switch rows and columns, right? So it's not always useful, but in some cases it is. Now, if you see, if I'm switching rows and columns, now you can see here it is the rent of March, Jan, and Feb, right? So I'm going to say here, the title will change. So you have to aptly title your sheets. Now it is about rent, right? So the rent budget split, okay? Now you can go ahead and change it in setup. You can, because you clicked on switch rows and columns, it got split. Now because maybe you not want to mention it, I can do that, and I'm going to set up, and I'm going to say instead of rent, give the split of food, right? So in Jan, the split for food was 68%. In February it was 23, and March it was 7.8, right? So you can see that it matches the data sheet here also, right? Similarly, you can go ahead and kind of analyze this and get some insightful charts. So here the data is just because monthly budget and all, but you can do it for population splits. You can do it for any other uh, district wise, state wise, and all those things also you can do, right? So if it's a university, you can do people either by their grades, or people by their sports interest, and all those things can be done, right? So I hope adding chats was clear, right? So if you understood chats, type U in the chat box, right? Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Lakshmi. Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Sampath. Great sim. Okay, so now this was chats, but sometimes what happens is we might want to separate the data with the chat. So how do you do that? You click here, and then you can say move to on sheet. So now the benefit of this is this chat is still connected with your data, right? So the data could be in a different sheet. Let's just say now we are in what chat? We are in the split for the grocery, and this was uh, for the split of Jan, Feb, and March. Like, let's just say I'm going to change anything in grocery, right? So if, for example, February becomes 4,300, right? So the split shows up here. Okay, so now this also becomes easy, and your teams, or the whole team could be working on the data sheet, only new data being added and all those things, and the chat will automatically get updated, right? So it could be something like, for example, you are spending, you're trying to analyze the ad spends by week, right? Or your marketing spends by week, then whatever changes that happen in that particular sheet start showing up here. Okay, so it is very easy if at all you are trying to create dashboards and you want to visualize more data. So this is how you are going to do it. So we are using simple data so that the concept becomes clear. So now you can see that the data and the chat are separate in separate sheets, but still connected, right? So you can do the downloading here. You can publish the chat, where you can just share this with at the link of this with someone, right? I'm going to say click on publish, and the link of that gets shared. So the person, anybody who's watching this, so this is a particular feature that is available for Google Sheets users. Now you can use this and share it with someone, and that particular person will be able to because it'll ask for sign in. So I'm just going to open it, so he'll be able to just see the data, right? So let's just say if there is some update in numbers here, say just going to change something. So soon the data will change here, and after a refresh, that particular data also gets updated here, right? So this is how the sharing works. There might be a little lag or delay in the update, but you will find that it will get updated, right? So this was about charts and conditional formatting. So these are very useful when you are working trying to visualize data with colors and highlighting, right? So you can always, yes, Roja asks the question, you can still change the chart format from here, right? So you can go ahead, use the stacked column chart here, and you can use the direct column chart also here, right? So it becomes more useful whenever you make a change here, right? So that is how we conclude today's session. And you can always, if you have any queries, put them in the comment section. If you have liked the session here on Excel or Google Sheets today for the topic of conditional formatting and charts, go ahead and share your thoughts or questions in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.